Well, hey everybody, Merry Christmas. We're looking at some Christmas music together today for our Christmas presentation that is just a few weeks away now. And this piece we're looking at is for Ensemble B. It's called The Yearning by Craig Courtney. It's a beautiful piece of music about how we long for Christ and that our hope is found ultimately in Him, not in the things of this world and our present circumstances. We long for the presence of Christ, who is our salvation. I'm so excited to get to hear you sing this soon, but for now, here's kind of a little intro and overview of the piece as a whole, just so you can start to learn some of your notes and rhythms and start to internalize the piece before we step in together and start singing it in rehearsal. So the piece starts out with this little motive that we hear a lot throughout the whole piece, and it says here that it's altos or soprano alto. Let's go ahead and say that that is both sopranos and altos singing at the beginning. There is a yearning. I think that's the wrong key, but that's the start of this whole piece. Now look down here at measure 7. Let's go ahead and, if you have your music with you, I would encourage you to have your music to make some marks. Let's go ahead and mark that as a carry. We have these kind of different meters that come in to match the text, and it looks like we may want to take a breath there, but let's go ahead and carry it through. There will be, I think, maybe just one time that we don't. So this is the first verse starting out. Let's look at the second page. Kind of that same idea up here, yearning. In hearts that in the darkness hide, and in. Let's go ahead and carry that as well. You can mark that in. So that's this first page is just our verse. Then we have another verse, but this time the men are going to join at the top of the next page. So soprano altos sing our familiar "There is a yearning," and on top of page 5, tenor bass, you come in with kind of this inverted motive. There is a yearning. And you see here in this 2/4 bar, we're going to carry that as well. Same thing down at the bottom of the page for both soprano, alto, and tenors and bass. So we have this nice little duet on this page between the men and the women. Not super complicated yet in our parts, but it's just kind of pure and simple. Let's look at the next page. Here's our first time we have the chorus. Emmanuel, Emmanuel, within our hearts the yearning. This idea that Jesus fulfills all of our longings. And this is the first time we step into 4 parts. So we'll kind of pay careful attention to that as we listen through our recording with your heightened part, But this refrain repeats a couple of times throughout the piece as a whole. Notice here in measure 33, when we sing the refrain, if you're a tenor or a bass or even a soprano, it may look like you want to take a breath there, but the altos have moving line all throughout that 2/4 bar, so we'll make sure to carry that so we don't leave the altos out to dry. Let's look at the next page. So here we've finished our refrain, we come back to the verse. This time on the verse, though, sopranos, there is a yearning. You have this big, long, held out part, while the lower 3 voices are kind of singing the melody and kind of the primary theme there. Measure 45, that's a carry. Go ahead and mark that. Next page. This time, at the top of the page, altos, you have the long, sustained note there on the tonic pitch, and sopranos, you jump up and you have the melody with the tenors and basses singing a little harmony part underneath. Make sure you see top of the page right here, soprano and altos, a little cross voicing. All our sorrows are erased. That you don't sing the C that the altos are already singing. Okay, here's one spot where we will take a breath. That's my sorry attempt at a quarter rest. So we're just going to kind of chop that dot. And take a breath all together. All our sorrows are erased, and we shall see. Take a big quarter rest breath there together, because we're not going to take one here. We shall see the one who placed within our hearts the yearning. Okay? And that part is in 4 parts as well. Then we have the return of our refrain here, Emmanuel, Emmanuel. It's exactly the same for now. within our hearts the yearning. Now, we have the repeat of the refrain, but the tenors and basses, Emmanuel, started off, saying the wrong pitches there, sorry, but tenors and basses, you started off, and then the altos and sopranos, you kind of repeat. And notice, it's a cappella. It's a very powerful moment, but we've got to make sure that all of these chords are in tune and locked in solid, because we're out there hanging to dry with no orchestra underneath us, but it's just a beautiful moment. Just bring your attention here on the last page. Emmanuel, big fortissimo moment. This is kind of the climax of the piece, and the piano has these dun 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 dun, really impactful accented notes that I think kind of drive forth the idea of us longing for Christ, as we're doing so with conviction. And then of course it ends very beautifully with the sopranos and altos as it began. So that's the piece as a whole. I hope you were able to see some of the breath markings ahead of time. The next part of the video is going to sing through the entire piece with your voice part heightened. So sing along with it, listen to it, and if you need to go back and look through the score at any of those markings in this video, feel free to do so. We love you all, praying for you, and can't wait to make some music together.
Weighed down by ancient grief and centuries of sorrow. There is a yearning in hearts that in the darkness hide, and in the shades of death abide, a yearning for tomorrow. Amen.